It was a quiet afternoon when Grandpa Henry stumbled upon an old family photo tucked away in an antique chest. The sepia-toned image captured a moment from decades past, bringing a wave of nostalgia. But as he looked closer, something written on the back of the photo caught his eye, making his heart race with sudden shock. His hands trembled as he realized his family had kept a huge secret from him. But was it too late to find out the truth now? Henry was holding a picture of himself, his sister, and their grandfather, and he couldn't help but smile as he looked at it. But then he saw something written on the back, and it took him a while to decipher the writing. Eventually, he figured it out. But it didn't make any sense to him. It had to be a mistake, he thought at first. The writing on the back said, Tanya, Jason, and Carl. Tanya and Carl were his sister and grandpa. But who was Jason? Henry thought that perhaps his eyes were betraying him, and he was reading it wrong. But as he checked the back again, there was no doubt about it. He brushed it off as a stupid mistake at first. Little did he know that it would lead him to a life-changing discovery. When Henry realized the truth about that photo, he felt like his world was about to collapse. How could his family have lied to him all those years? Were they ever going to tell him the truth? Henry knew that if he wanted answers, he needed to take action, and he had no time to lose. But what did Henry discover? Who was the boy in the photo, and what had his family kept from him? Henry had been cleaning in the attic when he found that photo, which immediately made him smile. He decided to put it on display downstairs in the living room, and he carefully put it away in his shirt pocket as he finished putting away some boxes. Then he brushed the dust off his knees and carefully climbed down the attic stairs. He boiled some water to make tea, and then found an empty picture frame. "This one's perfect," he said to himself as he walked back to the kitchen to put the photo inside it. He planned to place it right next to the television, so he could look at it whenever he wanted. Family had always been very important to him, but that wasn't the only reason. You see, Henry terribly missed his sister. She had passed away a few years ago. She was much older than him, and he thought this was a nice way to remember her. He was lost in thoughts when he noticed the writing on the back of the photo, which pulled him back to reality. Squinting as he deciphered the writing, he raised an eyebrow. Why does this say Jason? Henry's first logical thought was that whoever had kept the photo and written the names on the back had made a mistake. Convincing himself of this, he placed the picture in the frame without giving it much further thought. But as the days went by, he couldn't help but feel a bit strange when he looked at that photo. He couldn't tell why, but something felt out of place. One day, Henry returned to the attic to examine the chest from which he had taken the picture. As far as he remembered, the chest had belonged to Grandma Margaret, and it had been passed down through the generations, which was how it finally ended up in his attic. He had to admit that he had never really looked through its contents before, but now something was compelling him to do so. He opened the chest and took out a random picture. This one showed his grandparents together, smiling at the camera. Henry continued to browse through the contents, feeling curious about what else he was going to find in there. As he looked through the photographs, he came across another image of himself, again with Jason written on the back. He frowned and set it aside, planning to have another look at it later. An hour or so later, he had found many more pictures of himself, all with Jason written on the back instead of his own name. Not a single one mentioned Henry. This couldn't be a coincidence, he realized. Something else was going on, and he was determined to uncover the truth. However, this would be challenging since few of his family members were still alive. Henry sat at his kitchen table, the photos spread before him. He dialed his distant cousin, Sarah, hoping for some clarity. "Hey, Sarah, it's Henry. Do you know anyone named Jason in our family?" he asked. "Jason? No, can't say I do. she replied, sounding puzzled. Each call ended the same way, leaving Henry more confused. The photos didn't lie, did they? He wondered if he had been Jason all along. Henry's frustration grew with each call. "Sorry, Henry. No idea who Jason is," repeated cousin after cousin. His hopes dwindled. "There has to be something," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. The lack of answers gnawed at him. How could a name mean nothing to anyone in his family? He paced the living room, feeling more lost than ever. What was he supposed to do next? Henry sighed as he hung up the phone. The government offices provided no assistance. "We have no records of a Jason matching your details," the clerk had said. Their bureaucracy was a brick wall he couldn't break. "What now?" he thought aloud, staring at the stack of papers on his desk. Frustration turned to desperation. How could someone leave no trace? The mystery deepened with each dead end. Henry sat in his favorite chair, staring at the framed photo. Is Jason even real? He questioned himself. The lack of progress made him consider giving up. Yet, the need for answers kept nagging him. He couldn't let this mystery go. "I need to keep searching," he resolved, his mind racing with possibilities. He owed it to himself to find the truth, no matter how elusive it seemed. Most of his family was gone, leaving Henry with few avenues to explore. He felt the weight of the mystery pressing down on him. Who can help? He wondered, feeling isolated. The clock was ticking, and he felt a growing urgency to uncover the truth. He glanced at the old chest, contemplating his next move. Could there be more clues hidden within? Time was running out, but he couldn't stop now. Desperation led Henry to his neighbor's door. Mark, a tech-savvy guy in his 30s, greeted him with a smile. "Hey, Mark, I need a favor," Henry started, explaining his dilemma. Mark listened intently. "I'm trying to find someone named Jason in my family. Could you help me search online?" Mark nodded, intrigued by the challenge. "Sure thing, Henry. Let's see what we can find." Over steaming mugs of coffee, Henry unfolded the tale of Jason. "I found this photo with a different name," he said, showing Mark the picture. Mark examined it thoughtfully. "Weird, right?" Henry continued. "None of my relatives know him." Mark leaned back, considering. "We'll need to use every tool available," he said. "I'm confident we can dig up something." Henry felt a glimmer of hope. Mark booted up his laptop, fingers flying over the keys. "Let's start with social media," he suggested. "People leave digital footprints everywhere." Henry watched as Mark navigated through various platforms, typing in Jason's name along with other family details. "There's got to be something," Mark muttered, eyes scanning the screen. Henry felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. This could be the breakthrough he needed. Mark's expertise was impressive. He effortlessly sifted through countless profiles, posts, and pictures. "Wow, you're really good at this," Henry said, astonished. "Thanks," Mark replied, focused on the task. He paused now and then to show Henry possible leads, but none seemed to fit. "Don't worry, we'll keep at it," Mark assured him. Henry nodded, feeling a sense of determination return. They were on the right path. They spent hours scouring social media. "Look at this," Mark said, pulling up an old post. "Could this be him?" Henry leaned in, heart pounding, but it was another dead end. "We'll find something," Mark said confidently. Henry appreciated his neighbor's optimism. Despite the setbacks, the search ignited a new hope in him. He felt closer than ever to uncovering the truth about Jason. Hours passed as Henry and Mark combed through various websites. Each promising lead ended in disappointment. "Nothing," Mark said, rubbing his eyes. Henry sighed, feeling a pang of frustration. "We can't give up," he replied, resolute. They took a break, letting the silence fill the room. Despite the setbacks, their determination grew stronger. "We'll keep looking," Mark said. Henry nodded, a new resolve hardening in his heart. "Let's try an ancestry website," Mark suggested, typing quickly. "It might have more detailed records." Henry watched as Mark navigated the site, entering family names and dates. "This could be a gold mine," Henry said, feeling a spark of hope. Mark smiled. "Exactly. It might give us a new direction." They waited as the site processed their information, both holding their breath. A new chapter of the search was beginning. The search yielded countless results. "There are so many Jasons," Henry said, overwhelmed. Mark nodded. "We need to narrow this down. Let's build your full family tree first." Henry agreed, seeing the logic. They began entering every family member they could think of, meticulously constructing the tree. "This will help us pinpoint the right Jason," Mark explained. The task was daunting, but it was their best shot. Hours turned into days as they painstakingly filled out the family tree. "This is exhausting," Henry admitted, typing in names and dates. "It'll be worth it," Mark encouraged. They hoped the Ancestry site would provide automated suggestions or connections. Each name added felt like a small victory. "We're getting there," Mark said, eyes on the screen. Henry nodded, feeling a mix of fatigue and determination. It took them a while, but Henry's memory served them well. "I remember Uncle Joe's middle name now," he said, typing it in. "That's great," Mark responded, adding it to the tree. Soon, they had a comprehensive family tree. "This should help us find the right Jason," Mark said, sounding hopeful. Henry looked at the screen, feeling a sense of accomplishment. They were ready for the next step. "Look at this!" Mark exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. The website had linked a profile named Jason to Henry's family tree. Henry's heart raced as he leaned in closer. "This could be it," he said, voice trembling with hope. The name matched, and it was connected to his family. "Finally, a lead," Henry whispered, feeling a surge of anticipation. They both stared at the screen, hopeful. The profile, however, lacked a photo or detailed information. "Why is there so little here?" Henry asked, frustration creeping in. Mark shrugged. "It happens sometimes. Not everyone shares much online." Henry felt a mix of anxiety and determination. "We have to find out more," he insisted. The absence of details only fueled his resolve to pursue further leads. He wasn't ready to give up yet. Mark tried every method he knew to connect with Jason, but hit dead ends each time. "Nothing," he said, shaking his head. Henry's hope began to wane. "What do we do now?" he asked, feeling defeated. "We're not done yet," Mark replied firmly. Despite their efforts, they couldn't find a way to reach Jason. Henry sat back, losing confidence. The trail seemed to be growing colder. Mark decided to email the Ancestry website for help. "We'll explain our situation," he told Henry, typing quickly. "Maybe they can give us some contact info." Henry nodded, clinging to this last hope. They crafted a detailed email explaining the mystery and their need to connect with Jason. "I hope this works," Henry said, pressing send. They waited anxiously, hoping for a breakthrough. The response came swiftly, but it wasn't what they hoped for. "We can't share contact details due to privacy policies," the email read. Henry felt a wave of frustration. "This is ridiculous!" he exclaimed. Despite his pleas, the website's worker remained firm. "We're back to square one," Mark said, shaking his head. Henry sighed, feeling the weight of disappointment settle in. The search seemed more challenging than ever. "Thanks for all your help, Mark," Henry said, patting his friend on the back.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
Mark nodded. "Sorry we couldn't find more," he replied. Henry sighed, feeling disheartened, but knowing they had tried their best. "Maybe this is just a dead end," he admitted reluctantly. Mark gave him a reassuring smile. "You never know, Henry. Something might come up later." Henry nodded, trying to stay hopeful despite the disappointment. Henry decided to take a break from the search. He distanced himself from the mystery, focusing on other aspects of his life. "Maybe Jason isn't that important," he told himself, trying to believe it. Days passed, and he avoided the attic and the photos. But every now and then, the nagging question about Jason's identity would creep back into his thoughts, refusing to be fully forgotten. Despite his attempts to forget, the mystery of Jason lingered in Henry's mind. He found himself staring at the framed photo, wondering. "Who are you, Jason?" he mused. Even small things around the house would trigger thoughts of the unresolved secret. The unanswered questions gnawed at him, making it hard to completely let go. The puzzle remained, silently urging him to continue the search for answers. Days later, there was a knock on Henry's door. It was Mark, looking determined. "Henry, I've been thinking," he began. "Why don't we hire a private investigator?" Henry's eyes widened in surprise. "A private investigator?" he repeated. Mark nodded. "Someone with the skills and resources to dig deeper. What do you think?" Henry felt a spark of excitement reignite. "Let's do it," he agreed, enthusiastically, ready for a new approach. Henry's excitement grew as they discussed the idea. "This could be our best chance yet," he said, feeling hopeful. Mark nodded. "We'll find someone experienced in family mysteries." The prospect of finally finding answers filled Henry with renewed energy. "Thank you, Mark," he said, gratitude evident in his voice. They began planning their next steps, confident that they were one step closer to uncovering the truth about Jason. Henry decided to hire Sarah, a renowned private investigator. "She's known for solving family mysteries," Mark said, handing Henry her contact information. Henry called her immediately. "I need your help with a family secret," he explained. Sarah listened carefully. "I'll take the case," she said confidently. Henry felt a surge of hope. "Thank you, Sarah," he replied. He was ready to uncover the truth once and for all. Sarah met with Henry the next day. "I'll explore every record and contact anyone who might know about Jason," she assured him. Henry felt reassured by her confidence. "This means a lot to me," he said, grateful for her help. Sarah nodded. "We'll get to the bottom of this," she promised. Henry felt a renewed sense of determination. The search for Jason was back on track. Henry handed Sarah all the information he had gathered, including access to the Ancestry website account. "This is everything I know," he said. Sarah reviewed the details meticulously. "This will be helpful," she remarked, noting key points. Henry watched as she organized her notes. "We'll start here and expand our search," she explained. Henry felt hopeful, seeing her methodical approach. They were making progress. Sarah began her search with determination. She pored over records, contacted potential leads, and used every resource at her disposal. Henry checked in regularly, feeling a mix of hope and anxiety. "Any news?" he asked one day. "I'm following a few promising leads," Sarah replied. Her diligence gave Henry a renewed sense of hope. He believed they were close to discovering Jason's identity. With Sarah on the case, Henry felt more confident. "She's the best at this," Mark assured him. Henry nodded, feeling optimistic. Each update from Sarah brought a sense of anticipation. "We're getting closer," she would say. Henry trusted her expertise. He felt they were one step closer to unraveling the mystery of Jason. The wait was difficult, but he knew they were on the right path. Weeks passed with little progress, until one day, Sarah called Henry with exciting news. "Henry, I've found something significant," she said, her voice buzzing with excitement. Henry's heart raced. "What is it?" he asked eagerly. "I need to show you in person," Sarah replied. They arranged to meet, and Henry couldn't wait to hear what she had discovered. The anticipation was almost too much to bear. Sarah handed Henry a document when they met. "It's a birth certificate for Jason," she explained. Henry's eyes widened as he read it. Jason was born on the same day and in the same hospital as Henry. "This can't be a coincidence," he said, feeling a mix of shock and curiosity. "It's more than we had before," Sarah replied. The pieces of the puzzle were finally coming together. The discovery suggested something astounding. Henry had a twin brother. Why didn't I know about him? Henry wondered aloud. Sarah looked thoughtful. "There could be many reasons," she said. Henry's mind raced with questions. How had this been kept a secret? What else didn't he know about his family? The revelation brought more questions than answers, but it was a crucial breakthrough in their search. Henry recalled his mother's departure during his childhood. "She left when I was young," he told Sarah. "Could it be related to Jason?" Sarah nodded. "It's possible. We need to look into it." The memory stirred up old emotions, but Henry felt determined to uncover the truth. His mother's absence suddenly seemed connected to the hidden truth about his twin. The pieces were starting to fit together. Sarah's breakthrough provided crucial evidence, but Henry grappled with the implications. "What does this mean for me?" he asked, feeling overwhelmed. Sarah was sympathetic. "It's a lot to process, but we're closer to the truth." Henry nodded, deep in thought. The discovery of Jason's existence was monumental, but it also brought a new set of challenges. What were the next steps in their search? Sarah's deeper investigation revealed a crucial detail. Jason had been adopted by a family in another state. "That's why we couldn't find any records," Sarah explained. Henry was stunned. "Adopted?" he echoed. "Yes, it explains a lot," Sarah said. Henry felt a mix of relief and confusion. The adoption was a significant piece of the puzzle, but it also raised new questions about his twin's life and whereabouts. The private adoption process made it challenging to find information. "These records are often sealed," Sarah explained, "but I'm not giving up." Henry appreciated her determination. "Thank you, Sarah," he said. The road ahead seemed difficult, but Sarah's resolve gave him hope. They knew it would be tough, but they were prepared to dig deeper and uncover more details about Jason's life and adoption. Henry felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. "I might have a twin brother," he said, marveling at the idea, but uncertainty gnawed at him. What if he doesn't want to be found? He wondered. Sarah reassured him. "We'll take it one step at a time." Henry nodded, still unsure of how to proceed. The possibility of finding Jason filled him with hope and anxiety. Sarah continued digging, uncovering more details about the adoption. "I've found some potential leads," she told Henry. Each new piece of information brought them closer. "We're making progress," she said confidently. Henry felt encouraged by her words. The search was far from over, but each discovery fueled their determination. They were getting closer to finding Jason, and the hope of a reunion grew stronger. The discovery of Jason's adoption added complexity to their search, but Henry felt closer to finding his long-lost twin. "We're on the right track," he said to Mark. "I can feel it." The twists and turns of the investigation had been challenging, but Henry's resolve never wavered. He knew that every step brought him nearer to Jason, and he was ready for whatever came next. Sarah called Henry with a somber tone. "I've tracked down Jason's adoptive family," she said. Henry felt a surge of hope. "That's great!" he exclaimed. Sarah paused. "They both passed away," she revealed. Henry's heart sank. "Oh," he said quietly. This revelation dashed his hopes of directly contacting Jason through his adoptive parents. It was a new layer of challenge they hadn't anticipated, but Henry remained determined. The news that Jason's adoptive parents had passed away left Henry feeling defeated. "What now?" he asked Sarah, struggling to maintain his composure. "It complicates things," Sarah admitted. The direct path to Jason seemed closed, adding another obstacle to their journey. Henry sighed, the weight of the situation bearing down on him. "We have to keep trying," he said, refusing to give up hope completely. Despite the setback, Sarah found an old address and phone number for Jason. "This could be our lead," she told Henry. His spirits lifted slightly. "Do you think it's still valid?" he asked. "It's worth a try," Sarah replied. Henry felt a glimmer of hope. This potential lead could finally connect him with his twin. He knew it might be a long shot, but it was better than nothing. Henry prepared himself emotionally for what was next. "I need to be ready for anything," he thought. The next step was to make contact and confirm if this Jason was his brother. He rehearsed what he would say, heart pounding at the thought. "This is it," he told himself, taking deep breaths. The anticipation and nerves were overwhelming, but he knew he had to move forward. Discovering Jason's old contact details gave Henry a renewed sense of purpose. "We're close," he said to himself. Mark and Sarah supported him, offering encouragement. "You can do this," Mark said. Henry nodded, feeling more determined than ever. The search had been long and difficult, but he felt they were finally on the verge of a breakthrough. He was ready to make the call and find his brother. With trembling hands, Henry dialed the phone number. His heart pounded as he listened to the ringing, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. "Please answer," he whispered, gripping the phone tightly. Each ring felt like an eternity. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. The anticipation was overwhelming. Finally, there was a click on the other end of the line. Someone had answered. A man answered the call. "Hello?" the voice said. Henry swallowed hard. "Hi, my name is Henry. I'm looking for Jason." "Are you Jason?" he asked, his voice trembling. There was a pause on the other end. Henry's heart raced as he waited for a response. "Yes, this is Jason," the man finally replied. Henry felt a surge of relief and anticipation. He was one step closer. There was a moment of silence before Jason spoke again. "I always knew I was adopted," he revealed. Henry's breath caught. "I think we might be related," he said cautiously. Jason's voice was calm. "I've always wondered about my biological family," he admitted. Henry felt a wave of emotions. The connection was real, and they both knew it. The long search was finally paying off. Jason explained their parents' divorce. "Each took one child," he said. "I never knew I had a twin brother." Henry listened, stunned. "I had no idea either," he replied. The revelation was overwhelming. "We were separated at birth," Jason continued. "It's incredible to think we've found each other." Henry felt a mix of sadness and joy. They had missed so much, but now they had a chance to reconnect. The revelation overwhelmed both Henry and Jason. "I can't believe it," Henry said, voice shaking. "Me neither," Jason replied. They talked about their lives, marveling at the similarities and differences. It was the beginning of a new chapter for both of them. "We have so much to catch up on," Henry said. Jason agreed. The bond between them was immediate, marking the start of their journey as reunited brothers. Henry and Jason agreed to meet. their voices filled with anticipation and emotion. "I can't wait to see you," Henry said. "Me too," Jason replied, his excitement evident. They arranged a time and place, eager to reconnect after years apart. As the day approached, both men felt a mix of nerves and joy. The moment they had been waiting for was finally here, and they were ready to embrace it. Their first encounter was a heartfelt reunion. "Henry!" Jason called out, recognizing his brother instantly. They embraced, holding on tightly. "It's really you," Henry said, tears in his eyes. They sat down, sharing stories and memories, piecing together their separate lives. "I've always wondered about you," Jason confessed. Henry nodded, feeling the same. The bond between them was undeniable, and they felt an overwhelming sense of connection. Henry felt a sense of completeness for the first time in years. "I've been searching for answers my whole life," he told Jason. "And now I've found them." Jason smiled, feeling the same gratitude. "It's like a missing piece has finally been found," he said. They both realized how important this moment was. Henry was grateful for uncovering the family secret and for the chance to start anew with his brother. The brothers discovered commonalities and differences as they talked. "We both love hiking," Jason noted, surprised. "And we have the same laugh," Henry added with a chuckle. They marveled at their similarities and appreciated their unique experiences. "We've missed so much," Henry said, "but we have time to make up for it." Building a bond that had been missing for their entire lives was their new shared goal. Reuniting with Jason brought Henry immense joy. "I'm so glad we found each other," he said, feeling the weight of the years lift off his shoulders. Jason nodded. "Me too, brother." They both knew that solving the mystery and finding his twin brother was more than just an end to a search. It was the beginning of a new chapter filled with love, understanding, and the promise of a shared future.